listing presentation mastery. I'm seriously really excited about all the stuff that I'm going to share with you today. You're going to see me looking at the side. That's my iPad with notes, lots of notes. I have 5 pages of notes because I don't want to forget anything that I intend to share with you. And this is going to be good because it'll be applicable to one of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today. When you think about listing presentation mastery, what does that look like? Here's what I think about, and everything that I'm going to share with you today has the goal to get you to have a 90% or higher closing ratio on all of your listing appointments. How does that sound? Everybody interested in a 90% or higher closing ratio on your listing appointments? Yeah. The first thing I want to say is you should have a pen and paper next to you because I'm going to give you 15, 10 and 5 more, 15 points today so you can master your listing presentation. And I know that as I go through these points, you're not going to be able to write everything down right now. You're going to write down as much as you can right now. And then when this webinar is finished, you're going to go on YouTube and you're going to search Jackie Kravitz and you're going to subscribe to my YouTube channel because this webinar will be on YouTube before the end of the week. So whatever you miss here that you weren't able to write it down, you'll be able to get on YouTube and watch it again. Yay. Okay, perfect. So do that. I want to start by having you write down this quote. Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. You may look at some people and say, wow, they're so lucky. Look, they got this going on and that positive thing, and I want what they have. Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. And every listing appointment that you get to go on is an opportunity. I'm going to use an average commission of $10,000. I don't know what each of your individual average commission is. Let's use $10,000 for the sake of this conversation. Every listing presentation is an opportunity for you to earn $10,000 if you're prepared. And these 15 points that I'm going to give you here today I put them together for that purpose, for you to show up prepared. I want you to imagine this. Close your eyes for a minute and imagine. You know the quote that says what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve? I want you to imagine going on a listing appointment every day, Monday through Friday. 1, you've mastered your listing presentation and you have a 90% closing ratio on your listing appointments or higher. And you take 4 listings a week. In this market, a listing taken is a listing sold. We're talking about $40,000 a week. A week. Actually, with a 90% closing ratio, it's on a month, in 1 month, you're going to end up with, if you go on 5 listing appointments a week, 1 a day, Monday through Friday, that's 20 per month. 90% closing ratio, it's 18 listings taken. Listing taken is a listing sold. $180,000 a month at an average commission of $10,000. That is the opportunity that you'll be able to capitalize on by being prepared. Is that clear? That's what is at stake here. That's what all of this preparation will get you. The first point I want you to write down, and this is really interesting because it's exactly what I'm asking you to do. what I have here, the notes that I have on this iPad, the 15 points that I have, it's not word for word what I want to say to you. It's an outline. I have the 15 points, a couple of little things I wrote down underneath each one. And it's not because I need to read it and I don't know what I'm talking about. I just don't want to forget because I know every single one of them is really important. And the number one point that I want to give you on mastering your listing presentation is use an effective script. Now, I wish I could give you a better word for script because most real estate agents don't like scripts. Oh no, I don't like script. I'm not going to use a script. Here's the reality. Everybody uses scripts all the time. If you've ever gone on a listing presentation, and some of you have been in business for a long time and you've been on a lot of listing presentations, if you're not using an effective script, that doesn't mean you're not using a script. You are. If you really check, you will agree with me that you usually say the same thing. It just may not be the most effective things to say. And you're not prepared. When I mean effective, is a script that has a sequence of thoughts and ideas that you want to share with this client, with this seller, that makes sense. It's in an order that makes sense, and it's leading to the end result of actually getting the listing agreement signed. An effective script. You have to, because the other option is you're making things up as you go. And every business out there use scripts. When you sit down at a restaurant to eat, the waitress or the waiter will come to you, and one of the first things they'll ask you is, would you like something to drink? That's a script. Everywhere you go, people are using scripts. So you got to get over this idea that I don't like scripts. And here's why. Here's what you really don't like: to sound scripted. Can you go like that and agree with me? That's what's horrible, right? To feel like you're reading to sound like you're reading from a script. That's awful. But you can change that by practicing and preparing. And just like me, I have the outline here. You should bring your outline with you to your listing appointments. Even when you have your presentation mastered, you should still have an outline so you don't forget any important points. An outline is not word for word. You're not going to sit and read it, but it's just to keep you on track so you don't forget all the important things that you're doing. When you walk into a doctor's office for a visit, the nurse or whoever sees you before the doctor, they take your blood pressure, they do your pulse, whatever they do, your temperature. Have you noticed that they have a sheet of paper and they have a checklist and they ask you a couple of questions? It's like a checklist. That's what I'm asking you to do. Use an effective script and have the outline right in front of you so you don't forget the important things you need to cover. And remember, what you don't like is sounding scripted, and you can change that. And you want to change that as quickly as possible, because the more scripted you sound, the worse your results will be. And the more conversational you sound, the better your results will be. So really the trick here is to use an effective script and sound conversational as you're using it. Does that make sense? How do you do that? By practicing. That's how you do it. I actually, the more conversational you sound, the better your results will be. Mastering the listing presentation script can make you millions. I had a webinar or something I did that FSBO Mastery can make you millions. Well, listing presentation mastery can make you millions. as I was preparing the notes for this, I thought about actors and actresses, great actors and actresses, get paid tens of millions of dollars for one movie. You're aware of that, right? Yeah. Do you think that they just make up the script? They're there, you know, in front of the producer, the director, and they just like make stuff up. They don't even know what this is about? Or do you think they spend endless hours internalizing and owning the script and then figuring out how they're gonna embody this character, so that everyone who watches the movie believes that they are the character? That's why they get paid tens of millions of dollars for one movie. You realize that, right? Do you? That's what they do. So then I thought, you know, I've heard different figures about what's the highest paid actor or actress for one movie, like the most amount of money that any actor or actress has ever made for any movie. And after some research, I actually came up with, I know I didn't even see this movie. I've heard of it, but I didn't see it. It's The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis. Has anybody seen that movie, The Sixth Sense, with Bruce Willis? For one movie, he got paid $115 million to internalize, own a script, and embody a character. You can make millions of dollars by doing the same. Does that make sense? Why are real estate agents so much against using a script? What's up with that? Yeah, let's master the scripts and make a fortune. One of the things that, in addition to having an outline of your listing presentation script and bringing it with you, I'm going to recommend this, and I want you to write it down so you don't forget you want to do this. There are different ways for you to practice, but one thing you want to do is you want to make a video of you doing a listing presentation. Sit down with an agent in your office, a friend, a relative, and do an actual listing presentation. Videotape it and watch it, so you can watch what is it that you sound like, what you look like. And as you're watching it, because you're going to learn so much, you're going to become aware of certain things that you got to change and improve. I want you to ask yourself this question. It's going to help you improve. Can you write this question down, please? When you watch yourself doing a listing presentation, would you list with yourself? Would you hire yourself to sell your own home? Interesting question. Here's point number 2 to master your listing presentation. Never schedule a listing appointment for tomorrow that you can go on today. This is a critically important point. And here's why. And some of these points I'm going to spend a little more time on than others, because there's 15 of them and I want to go through all of it here with you. This is critically important because when you set an appointment, you got somebody on the phone and they agree to meet with you. The fact that they agree to meet with you, it means that you got to have some level of rapport. They have to be somewhat interested in what you have to say. And there's a momentum going on here. And you want to get to that appointment as quickly as possible, so you ride the momentum, you keep that momentum going. You don't want to have 24 hours or 2 or 3 days or a week go by before you meet them, because especially if it's someone you don't know. If it is a past client, a friend, a relative, okay, well, you know, you already know them, they like you, they're probably going to list with you. But people you don't know, you want to ride the momentum that you created when you set that appointment. Does that make sense? And also, if it is a FSBOR and expired, and you're setting appointments for tomorrow or the next day so you can prepare and you have time to do the CMA and you got to figure out the neighborhood. You need time for you to prepare. You hang up on that call with an appointment for tomorrow, and guess what's happening? Right after you hang up, they're getting calls from other agents and other agents. The fact that they set an appointment with you means to me they have an interest in selling. And you're not going to get there till tomorrow. Somebody else is going to call that seller, set an appointment, and go before you and take that listing, and your appointment will be canceled. So urgency to get there as quickly as possible. Here's point number 3. Always, 100% of the time, pre-qualify all of your listing appointments, 100% of them on the same call. You don't call back later to pre-qualify your appointments. It's set an appointment right now. You transition right into the pre-qualifying. Remember, with pre-qualifying as well as everything else, the more conversational you sound, the better your results will be. I've had many clients in the past many years say, well, I don't like pre-qualifying. Sometimes sellers say, why are you asking me all these questions? Like it sounds like I'm an interrogation. It's not the script that sounds like an interrogation. It's the way that you're reading it. When you're reading a script, you're going to sound scripted. You don't sound like you care, you're concerned, you're not interested, you're not repeating and approving. Yeah, nobody likes that kind of conversation. So that's where your practice comes in. So transition right into the pre-qual. What is the purpose of pre-qualifying? So write this down. To gather information. Not to handle objections, learn, gather information. So you are not blindsided by questions and objections at the listing appointment. How many of you just love to be blindsided? Like, I have no idea where that came from. Totally out of left field. I mean, where did that objection? I had no idea they were thinking of interviewing another agent. Oh, I had no idea someone had offered a lower commission, or they had a friend in real estate, or I had no idea. Why? Because you didn't pre-qualify it and you didn't do it well, because had you done it, you would know. I don't like being blindsided. I don't think any of you do either. Pre-qualifying is gonna take care of that, and you're gonna learn about their motivation and financial situation. So write that down. They're not sales X training scripts, okay? But there are other scripts out there where before you even set an appointment, you're asking motivation questions. Well, where are you moving to? How soon do you want to move? And why are you moving? Completely irrelevant. And they have no interest in telling you about what they're doing, especially strangers, at all. They're not interested in answering those questions. Those are questions you need answers to when you're pre-qualifying, and you don't pre-qualify an appointment you don't have. First, you focus on setting the appointment. Then you start pre-qualifying, and that's where motivation, financial situation come in. Does that make sense? All of the questions on the pre-qualifying script are critically important. And there's one question. I don't like saying this is the most important question, because they're all really important questions, right? And if I say this is the most important one, you say, well, then I don't have to ask the other ones. No, you got to ask every one. But I am going to tell you which question I believe, if you said to me, you could only ask one, which one would you choose? And my choice would be, and it's the last question on the Sales X Training Pre-Qualifying script. When I see you after our meeting, if you are absolutely confident that hiring me is the best decision you can make, will you be ready to go ahead and list the property with me when I come out today at 5 o'clock? To me, that's the most important question. If I could only ask one, that would be the one. Because, I mean, yeah, I want to know the motivation. I want to know how much they owe, how much they want to list for. Are all the decision makers there? Those are all important questions. Are they interviewing other? So see, this question will bring out, if they're interviewing other agents, you could actually, as a result of this question, that might come up. So when I say, after our meeting today, if you are confident that listing with me is the best decision you can make, will you be ready to go ahead and do it? You know, I said it in 2 different ways, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not scripted, it's conversational. So now, why is this question so important? Because if they say, and most people that don't know you will say, well, you know, I don't know, I guess we'll do, it depends on, you know, what you say, I guess we'll figure it out when you get here. They'll give you some sort of vague answer. Have you ever gotten a vague answer from a seller and you have like, okay, what do I do with this? Like, I have no idea what's going on. So when you get a vague response, what do? Okay, you repeat and approve, because it's like an objection. You repeat and approve, and then you ask additional questions, clarifying questions, so you can understand what's going on. You know, that's, so you could say something like this. And Donna, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, I just called you today a couple of minutes ago. I appreciate the opportunity of meeting with you, but bottom line is, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I do, and you don't know how I would be able to benefit you in the sale of your home. I understand that. So I'm really not expecting you to tell me over the phone that, yeah, sure, come, I'll list with you. I mean, that wouldn't even be reasonable right now. What I'm thinking, Donna, though, is obviously when you think about the agent that you will hire to sell this property for you. And let me ask you, Donna, are you thinking of talking to other agents? Have you met with other agents? Do you have other agents that you will be meeting with? So that gives you an opportunity to ask that question. Here's another question that can be a result of this one, but it's a standalone and very important question. In this process of selling your home and speaking with different agents, Donna, tell me, what specifically are you looking for in the agent that you will hire? Wow, I love this question so much. Please write it down. What specifically are you looking for in the agent that you will hire? They will tell you exactly what you need to do to take this listing. That's how important this question is. Do you all get what I'm saying? They'll tell you, wow, I'm looking for an agent who can get me this price, or I'm looking for lower commission. You know, they'll tell you, they'll lay it out. So now, let's, for the sake of the example here, you ask what specifically you're looking for, and they tell you A, B, and C. Now you're gonna ask that same question from, if at the end of our meeting, so, but now you're gonna fill in the blanks with the ABC, whatever it is they told you. So let me just ask you this then. After our meeting today, if I can show you how I can deliver, give you, achieve for you the A, B, and C that you are looking for, in that case, will you be ready to list the home with me today? Do you see what I just did? They said, no, I'm not sure, we'll see when we get here. Then I asked that question, and I take their answer and I insert it back into that question, and I ask it again. It's almost impossible for them to say no. What does this do for you on the pre-qualifying? We're talking about mastery. You now are in control of that appointment. They have just told you exactly what they're looking for. Deliver it to them, and the listing is yours. Everybody get what I'm saying here? Yeah. Point number 4. Oh, by the way, see, I'm glad I have my outline here, otherwise I would forget. Never discuss price over the phone. Because when you're pre-qualifying and you ask how much do you want to list the home for, you may ask some additional questions. What would happen if your house doesn't sell? What price will you go below? Whatever may come out of that question. Don't start discussing price. Well, what do you think you could sell it for? It's not a conversation that you have over the phone. Point number 4. If you use a pre-listing package, I never did, okay? I just didn't. I never did. My appointments, 80% of the appointments that I went on, listing appointments, I scheduled them in the morning and I was in their house later that day. So I never bothered with a pre-listing package. I'm not opposed to it. It can be a great thing for you to do. Make sure you have an electronic version of your pre-listing package. And do not include a market analysis or price in your pre-listing package. I would never do that, especially with people you don't know, okay? It's a complete no-no. People you don't know, they're hearing from a lot of agents. We know everybody wants more money for their house than their house is worth. All of a sudden they get a pre-listing package from you. They just expired at $400,000, the house is worth $350,000, and they see a CMA or you circle a price $350,000. What do you think is going to happen with your appointment the minute they see that? Cancel. Just talk to a few other agents over the phone that, said they would list it for anything. No, it's just, you don't do that, okay? Unless it's someone you know very well and they're listing with you no matter what, whether they like the price or like I would never include that, okay? That makes no sense. Point number 5, please write this down. Number 5, mindset is everything, period. Mindset is everything, always. Now, when it comes to your listing appointments, always assume the listing is yours. You're going to leave that appointment with a signed listing agreement, because the other option is assume that they have a bunch of objections and I don't know how I'm going to overcome those and I don't know what I'm doing. And listen, you get what you expect. And when if you assume anything other than the fact that you're going to take this listing and it's going to be well priced, what can you expect out of it? Nothing positive, okay? On your way to your listing appointments, you're driving there, okay? If you're doing it on Zoom, I mean, if I was selling real estate today, after everybody last year just got used to Zoom everywhere, I don't think I'd ever want to go on a listing appointment again, okay? I just want to do everything on Zoom. Why not? Save so much time. And you can do it efficiently and get them to sign the listing agreement electronically while you still see them on Zoom, okay? Anyway, we're not going to talk about that today. If you're driving to your listing appointments, or even if you're doing it on Zoom, for like 10 minutes prior to your appointment, you should be listening to, I'm the trainer and founder of SalesX Training. In this platform, in addition to 2 live calls a week, you have a library of over 200 live role plays of listing presentation, for sale by owner, scripts, dialogues, mindset stuff, every script, like endless. I look at it now and I'm like, I can't believe I've done it. Okay, I've done that and I keep doing it because every day there's a new lesson. So on your way to your listing presentation, what should you be doing in your car? You definitely should not be on the phone talking to anyone about anything that takes your mind off of the appointment you're going on. You should be listening to live role plays of listing presentation, the SalesX platform, they're available. If it's a FSBO appointment, expired appointment, or just a general listing appointment, you're going to hear me role playing the entire script, the conversation, the dialogue. That's what you should be listening to in your car. So when you get there, you've already prepared, you practice your script, you videotape, you're doing all of this. But on the way to the appointment, extra preparation. Do not allow yourself to dwell on any negative thinking. Okay. So when you arrive at the appointment, you're in the most powerful mindset possible. Get that? Is that clear? And this is an interesting thought that I'm going to say to you here right now. Decide before you knock on the door that you are not leaving without a signed listing agreement. You're just not. They'll have to throw you out. You're gonna get look at Jacqueline smiling. I see you. Yeah, they're gonna sign that listing agreement, boy. Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. And you gotta walk in with that mindset and assumption. Point number 6. Wow, I'm running out of time. Arrive 15 minutes early. Always plan to arrive 15 minutes early. And here's what you do. Unless you've been in real estate for like forever and you're going into an appointment in an area that you know really, really well, then maybe you don't have to. You should still plan on arriving early, okay? So you're never late. But what I recommend you do is with those 15 minutes, drive in front of every comparable in your CMA, in your market analysis. Just drive in front of the house. I didn't used to do this all the time, but sometimes I did, because I used to sell real estate in a large area. And sometimes I'd set an appointment with like an expired. And I have no idea where this is. Like it's 40 minutes away. I've never been there. I don't know where this neighbor, I don't know anything about. I do my market analysis. So then I would show up early and I would drive, okay, 123 Banana Street. I drive, okay, here's 123 Banana Street. It's a corner house, fenced yard, yellow paint, whatever. You make eye contact with the property. Then I drive to the next one. And oh yeah, okay, so this is the street right behind you here. So what I learned by doing that is it built my confidence so much, because when you don't know the area really well, you feel a little bit uneasy. And obviously this homeowner's been living in their house for however long. They know they know the neighborhood, they know the area, they know everything about it, and you're showing up. And so to me, it was amazing, because now I feel like I know the area. And when I'm taking them through one of the comparables in the market analysis, I could say, oh, in this home right here, this is the yellow house on the corner with the and you just keep going, and it sounds like you know what you're talking about. And it's the first time I've ever been here. Can you see how that's going to build your confidence big time? Oh yeah, great. And then park in front of their house at least 2 minutes before your appointment. Okay, so drive around, look at the comparables, and then park in front of the house. And now, here's what you do before you get out of the car. In your mind's eye, whether your eyes are open or closed, in your mind's eye, visualize the seller signing the listing agreement. Visualize them taking the pen from you're going to hand them the pen. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And they're going to take that pen and they're going to sign right there. And you're going to have this big smile on your face, and you're going to walk out with a signed listing agreement. Visualize that happening before you get out of the car and knock on their door. Got it? Point number 7. Wow, it's such an obvious point, but I have to make it, okay? A great first impression is absolutely critical. Hi, Darla. I'm scrolling up and looking at everybody who's here. A great first impression is critical. And when you park in front of this seller's house. They could be looking out the window and watching you. You do realize that, right? It's very possible. Why not? So you're still sitting in your car and they're already sizing you up and deciding what's going on here, because that's what human beings do. From the moment that you get out of your car, okay, so you're sitting in your car, you get up, shoulders back, smile on your face. Oh, I'm not talking to anybody. Who am I? Just have a pleasant smile of confidence, shoulders back. Always don't assume like, oh, I could just walk to the house, go knock on the door, and they're not looking at me. Oh no, yeah, they're looking at you. Plus, when you have a smile on your face, when you have your shoulders back and your head up high, you feel more confident. You feel better. So assume they're watching you. When you knock on the door and they open, smile. I don't know, we're not shaking hands these days, but if you are, make sure you have a firm handshake. A little, like if they have a soft handshake, like don't break their hand, okay? But always a firmer handshake than they do. Sometime in the future, we'll be shaking hands again. Walk up confidently. Smile on your face. What is it that you look like? Professional, looking professional. Men, women, I don't care who you are. I had a suit. I had several and I still do, but I had one that was my favorite for listing appointments. And you need to have a professional attire that you show up at, because you want to look professional. Your hair, if you're a lady, you should put some makeup on, just help out. Shoes, nice, clean. Your car should be clean. This is all part of the first impression. You want to look and feel successful, and your chances of taking the listing go up. Point number 8. Motivated sellers are looking for, what is a motivated seller looking for? I'm going to tell you right now. They're looking for a knowledgeable, professional, and aggressive agent. They're not looking for wishy-washy. Knowledgeable, professional, aggressive agent that can sell their home quickly and for the most money possible. That is what a motivated seller is looking for. They are not looking for a friend. They're not expecting you to show up and be their best friend. They're not interested in that. And by the way, aggressive is not pushy at all. Totally, two completely different things. I'm not going to get into that here now because I could talk about this for half an hour. But aggressive is someone who can sell their home quickly and for the most money possible. And they believe that. Okay, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, you have a dog too. Oh, I love your decoration. Excuse me? No. If you have a headache and you go to the doctor, you want him to give you something to get rid of this headache. You're not do you even want the doctor to say, oh, so how was your weekend? What do you do for fun? Tell me about it's like, please just give me something to get rid of this headache so I can get out of here. That's what they're looking for. Point number 9, have all of the documents that will need to be signed, obviously the listing agreement and all the disclosures, all the paperwork, prepared and organized in a professional manner. The last thing you want to do is, okay, so you get to the end of your listing presentation and now you start, you open your briefcase and there's papers all over the place and the listing agreement is not even filled out. And by the way, we do so much electronically these days. Obviously, if your listing presentation is on Zoom, you're going to send them an electronic listing agreement signed, all the paperwork signed electronically. But when you're in person in front of a seller, paper, pen, sign. That's what I would do, okay? Not electronically, piece of paper. And with that in mind, before you start your listing presentation, you get to the house, they show you around, or you look at it on your own, whatever. And you're gonna be at the kitchen table. I have a sticky note here because I'm addicted to sticky notes. Pretend this is a listing agreement, okay? Before you start saying anything to them, as you're getting yourself settled at the kitchen table, open your briefcase, take out the listing agreement. It's completely filled out. The only thing that is blank is the price. Their name, the address, the commission, the expiration date, anything else that needs to be filled out is filled out except for the price. You take that listing agreement, you don't say anything. You just sit it on the table and put the pen on top of it. And you leave it there. It's a subliminal close. Okay? Before you start, this is super important. Okay? Don't forget this. You just leave it there. And they see what it is and they know what's up and it's fine. I want you to write this down under this point, okay, of setting the listing agreement there before you start. People are looking for a leader. That's what they're looking for in you as their agent, a leader. And you know what a leader does? A leader makes people feel confident that they know what they're doing. And it's almost like, here, this is the way we do it. Let's go. I can make it happen. A leader is someone who guides them through and makes things happen. Not like, oh, so what do you think? And, weird. Okay. As I say, when you lead, they follow. When you're weird, they get weird. When you're all hesitant and you're awkward, well, guess what? They hesitate. Because they're just looking at you and feeling like, oh, this is really weird. This person is like, no, I don't feel confident here. I better find somebody else because this doesn't feel good to me here. Okay? And in the same point of having all the documents and paperwork prepared, organized, you are going to prepare a market analysis. Doesn't mean you're going to take 2 hours to do it. But it's going to be a very, I don't even want to use the word detail. I didn't write down what I wanted to say. It needs to be carefully prepared. You need to select comparables that make sense, that you are confident. You need to be confident about the comparables you're choosing. You need to understand the market and these comparables and the recent sales and whatever you're showing them better than them. And they live in that neighborhood. So you need to prepare it carefully and have confidence that you know it better than they do. And remember, driving in front of these properties and making visual contact with these with each comparable in your CMA is going to help you tremendously. Okay. Point number 10: be energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate during your presentation. And why is this so important? Obviously, you want to mimic and match, especially in the beginning. And when you're in person, even if you're on Zoom, you can mimic and match their body language, their facial expressions. When you're over the phone, you're mimicking and matching rate of speech, volume, emotion. But when you see the person, now you can mimic and match if they cross their arms, if they go like this, if they cross their legs, their facial expressions, the nodding, all of that, okay? And that creates rapport and it helps you maintain rapport. People do it naturally. But the energy, enthusiasm, and passion is important for this reason. People make decisions when they're excited about the future. Their decision to grab the pen and sign that listing agreement when you ask them to sign is going to be based on the fact that they feel excited about the fact that you can sell this home quickly and for the most money possible. And they're not going to feel excited about that possibility that you could do this for them if you're not excited. If you're just sitting there, oh, and oh, yeah. Not that you would do that, but that's like, how do you expect a seller? Would you list with yourself? I asked you earlier. Your energy and enthusiasm is actually, it makes up, not that you lack skills, but for those of you who have some work to do in mastering the script and mastering your listing presentation, energy and enthusiasm makes up for a lack of skill. It's contagious. Everybody wants to be around people that are excited. Point number 11, stand up during your listing presentations. Standing up. I'm 5'2", so it's easy for me to stand up, but I don't even care who it is or who I'm presenting to, okay? If it could be, you know, they're taller than me, they're shorter than me, unless it's like, I remember one time I went on a listing appointment and it was a little old lady. I mean, like in her 90s. No, she was very kind of, like nice little grandma type. And she was very quiet. I sat next to her because I didn't want to overwhelm her. Okay. I think it was the only time I remember ever sitting down on a listing appointment. I used to stand up. Why? Because when you are standing and they are sitting, you're in a position of authority. And that's what you want. It doesn't mean you're not going to be pushy or pressured. You're just in a position of authority. You're the authority here. That's what I used to do. And I highly recommend you do the same. Plus, when you're standing up, you naturally have more energy than when you're sitting down. Point number 12. Smile. I haven't smiled a lot in this presentation, but smile when it's appropriate, okay? When it's appropriate. There are certain things you say where you don't want to be grumpy, you don't want to be like, sound like you're angry, because if you don't smile occasionally and you nod, it just creates tension. And when people feel tense, they tend to, they close down. They could feel pressured. And remember, people make decisions when they're excited about the future. People don't make decisions when they feel pressured and they feel tense. When they feel pressured, they feel tense, they back off. That's when you hear, well, I got to sleep on it. Call me tomorrow. We got to discuss it. I don't make decisions on the spot. That's their way of saying, I don't feel good about this right now. And they may not know why. It's a feeling people get. And sometimes it's just, you're way too serious. Lighten up, lighten up. It doesn't mean like you need to be making jokes or you just lighten up. Okay, good. Point number 13. Don't talk more than you need to. That's as simple as that. Having a script is going to help you with this, because if you don't have a script, you got nothing to guide you through this presentation. And you know how homeowners are. They give you an objection, they ask a question, they're all over the place, they're talking about this, they're talking about that, and you just go along with it. And sometimes they give you an objection. You don't know the answer because you haven't practiced. And now you start talking. And I learned this a long time ago, and I think this is a great thing for you to write down and never forget. Never sell, because you're a salesperson, with blah, blah. What you can sell with blah. Because sometimes we start talking and you could put your foot in your mouth. Okay. Point number 14. This is a really important point, and I know it's one that I actually put it on the outline of something that I would share with you on this webinar. We got 10 minutes left, so that's good. 14, and then 15 is going to be easy. And then we're done. What is it that you do differently from other agents? What sets you apart? Why should they list with you and not, any of the other thousands of agents in your area? So when you're on a listing appointment, you have to, by doing everything that I shared here with you today and really preparing, you have to stand out. And all of this is going to help you stand out. But I'm going to give you a script here that separates you from everybody else. Are you ready? Remember, if you don't write everything down, this will be on YouTube in a couple of days before the end of this week, so you can go back and listen to it again and write it down. So I would say something like this to the homeowner. If you are sending out a pre-listing package, it could include an abbreviated version of your marketing plan, which is, what you do to sell homes. But what really separates you, I would say like this to them. I would say, Mr. Seller, when we spoke over the phone, you did tell me that you're obviously getting a lot of calls from real estate agents, and I think you told me that you met with a couple of agents already. And every real estate agent that you've talked to do some of the same things to sell properties. They obviously put the home in the multiple listing service. They may put a sign in front of your home. They put it on hundreds of websites. They may hire a professional photographer or do a virtual tour, a drone, whatever. Like, you know where I'm going with this. You can quickly list all of the things that every real estate agent does. And Mr. Seller, by the way, I do all of those things as well. Now, what really separates me from all of the other agents that you've spoken with is I am an active and aggressive agent. Because when you think about all of these things that every real estate agent does, that we just went through them, that I do also, they're passive marketing strategies, basically. Because once agents put your home in the multiple listing and they put it on hundreds of websites and they got the professional photos and you list all this stuff, they now basically sit around for the next several months and hope and pray that your house is going to sell. I don't work that way, Mr. Seller. As I said, I am an active and aggressive agent. You and I both know there is a buyer for your house out there, and my job is to go find them. And that's exactly what you would expect your agent to do for you, isn't it? So, and you may be wondering, well, okay, so how are you going to do that? Well, Mr. Seller, here's what I do. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until noon, I am on the phone. I speak with 30 to 40 people a day looking for buyers for my listings and looking for more homeowners that want to sell. And that's how I found you also. And there's a tremendous benefit for you, Mr. Seller, in me having more homes for sale, because having homes for sale is really the number one way to attract buyers. And very often buyers, when they inquire on a property they've seen online, or they drive in front of a home and see a sign, or they contact me, most of the time they don't end up buying the home that they called on. And that gives me, having a lot of homes for sale, gives me an opportunity to cross sell. Meaning I can get a buyer call on a property that's 30 minutes away from your home. And when I find out what's their budget and what are they looking for, even though they're looking 30 minutes away, they just described your home to me. And after seeing that property that I have for sale over there, and they say, well, no, you know, we need more of this, more of that, I can bring them to your home. And they could end up being the perfect buyer for your property. So the more homes I have for sale, the more buyers calls I get, the more opportunities I have to cross sell and sell any of the homes that I have, versus agents that have one or two listings or none. But I also, Mr. Seller, call around the neighborhoods. So when we list your property, I'm going to get phone numbers for 300 to 400 of your neighbors, and I'm going to personally contact each and every one of them to let them know that your home is for sale and ask them if they know anyone who might be interested in buying in the area. There's more to this. I'm going to leave it here because I still got point number 15 I want to tell you. But this is what separates you. This is part of what I used to say to sellers on my listing appointments, and they would look at me like, a lot of them, they would look at me and say, you do that? I'm like, yeah, I do that. Because they're like, obviously, most real estate agents don't. So if you're going to actually say you do, you better do it. You don't want to lie about it. And when everyone is out and about and life is back to normal, you could even say to them, Mr. Seller, you're welcome to come into my office any Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until noon, and you're going to see me doing exactly what I just told you. Again, Mr. Seller, my job is not to just list your home and sit around and hope and pray that it would sell. I mean, if it was just about putting it on hundreds of websites, putting it in the multiple listing service, putting a sign in front of your house, if that was all that it took to sell homes, I mean, you wouldn't need to hire me to do that. There's so much more that I do. And looking for the buyer for your home is how we're going to maximize the exposure on your property so we can sell it for the most money possible. That's exactly what you want, isn't it? Great. I'm ready to go to work for you. Let's go through the market analysis so we can agree on what's the highest price we could sell your property for, and I can go to work. So, you know, I didn't say this. This is going to lead right into the last point here today, which is 15. But you notice what I just said to you when I said, let's go through the market analysis so we can agree on what. I'm nodding my head. This is a time to put a smile on your face, and you're nodding and they're agreeing so we can get your home on the market and get it sold. Great. So now you take the market analysis and you're going to show the comparables. I'm not going to go through that. If there are any expireds in the area in the last 12 months, you can use them, but I usually have 4 active listings and 4 recent sales. So I'm going to go directly to, obviously you could get objections about the price. I don't know about this market right now because it's a hot market, but when you get to the point, remember before you started the appointment, you put the list, this is the listing agreement, completely filled out. The only thing blank is the price. The pen is on top of it, just like that. It's been sitting here, okay, this whole entire time. So now we go through the market analysis and we agree on a price. So I'm going to hold it up so you could see it, okay? My table is a little bit lower. So it's like this. My hand is the table. So now we go through the CMA. They have some pricing objections, blah, blah, blah. You finally agree on a price. So here's what I do. Okay, grab my pen. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and price it at $499,000. And I just need your signature right here, Mr. Seller, right here. So, you know, it's on the table. I write down the price as I say it. Great. So let's price it at $499. Write it down. And I just need your signature right here. And I turn the paper to them and I point to the signature line and I give them the pen. And I'm smiling, nodding my head. And I don't say a word. I just keep going like this until they pick up the pen and sign. And I just keep nodding. That's how you do it. Now, what did you just do right there? Point 15 is closing for the signature. Asking for the signature needs to be a seamless process. It's not like, oh, okay, $4.99. Let me open my briefcase, take out the listing agreement, start. Oh yeah, I didn't have it ready, wasn't filled out. No, it's right there. It's like seamless. It's the natural thing to do. This paper's been sitting here waiting for your signature the whole entire time. I highly recommend that you practice this in front of a mirror with the body language, and super important, all the way through. The audio and the video need to match. You don't say, I just need your signature right here. I cannot even do it. It's like so weird. You know, like your body language doesn't match what you're saying. Weird. And as I've said many times before, when you get weird and you do weird stuff, they get weird, okay? Like it's incongruent. What you say and what you're doing don't match. You got to be careful with that too. Not throughout the entire presentation, but not only there, when you're on the phone making calls too, because body language is 55% of communication. And even though over the phone, they don't see you, what you're doing with your body affects how you sound. So it impacts what it is that they hear. Be very careful. But obviously, when you're in person, make sure the audio and video match, okay? Thank you for taking the time. I trust you got some good stuff out of this webinar today. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, Jackie Kravitz. This will be there for you in a couple of days. Check out salesxtraining.com. There's so much great information there on what to do, how to do it, when to do it, schedule, structure, skills, objections, closing, FISBOs, mindset, live role plays, 2 live calls per week, endless material, and extremely affordable. Any one of you can afford this training, and it will make you millions. Not just signing up and paying for it, when you actually immerse in it and you do what I say. So that's it for today. Thank you for being here, everybody. See you next month. Bye-bye.